Alright guys, I'm going to warn you, this one's a long video, but why don't you just go ahead and pause the video, hit like, share, and subscribe, hit that little bell notification before you start watching, so that way you've got it already done. Plus it'll let you know if I upload any more cool things. It's pretty cool. Enjoy the video. Alright guys, so we are back on the car. So I set up a little pressure washing station out here. What I want to do is get the radiator core support pressure washed, all the grease and crap off it, and because I want to get that coated to put that back on the car because yeah, it can go on the car, we can tape it up when we tape up the whole engine bay so it won't get covered with crap, right? And then I've got where is it? Right there. And then right there, I have the fender. So the backs of the fender, the one I cleaned up with thinner and a product called Scat Aqua Cleaner. So it's like a water, or it's a degreaser. But since this one right here hasn't been touched yet, I'm just gonna scrub it all up. I'll show you what I'm using. So this right here is just a basic like citrus clean. All-purpose, basically that is. But the other thing that I like to use to clean up all the grease and stuff is this product. So some Scuff and Clean and just a red Scotch-Brite. So I'm just gonna get to town, clean these up, and then I want to get the back of the hood all cleaned up too from all the grease, and then we can move forward on that. I'd really like to do all the door jambs and all that stuff on the car, but with it being inside, I don't know, I don't want the whole floor to get wet, but I just may do it, right? So the pressure washer I have is just a little Ryobi electric. I think it's like 2200 PSI. I got tired of the gas ones always breaking. Over the years, I have two that's sitting in the back in my other work area, shed. And when I went down two Craftsmen, and when I took it down to get it fixed at Home Depot, hey, can you fix this? They're like, dude, no, it needs a lot of work. And I was like, okay. So I bought this, and this has been flawless. Plug it in, turn it on, that's it. No gas, no oil, no crap I have to deal with. So, yep, so that's what I'm using. So let me get after these parts, and then I'll get all these cleaned, and then we'll go from there. All right. And then you just take a little bit. It's like a heavy cream consistency, but I got the camera back so it doesn't get covered with water. So we got the back side of the hood flipped over. So that's got some years of crud on it. I got it kind of soaking with that that citrus stuff. So I'm gonna let that soak for a minute, and we'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so the gentleman that owns this came over with his tractor yesterday. It was kind of an impromptu, like he called me and said, hey, I'm not going to be here this weekend. Him and his son are running up to go get some truck cabs out of Mississippi. So he said, can I come over and do that stuff now? So I said, sure, come on over. So I got the back side of the hood all degreased and cleaned up, but let me show you what we ended up doing yesterday, which is pretty cool, I think. So let me swing you around. What we had in the back of our property is, so this right here is the original frame for the COE. So I purchased the whole thing, and it's got the 270 in there. 6-cylinder. It is locked up, so it's, I was gonna pull the motor out and just tinker with it because, you know, I'm a tinkerer, But anyway, if you've noticed the videos in the garage, I had this 5-window cab. The 5-window cab is pretty beat, like no floor, no dash, 1 door. Everything is all kind of like rusted out pretty bad. I mean, it's savable. I mean, all these things are potentially savable, right? But what we ended up doing was, once we brought this from the backyard forward, I just kind of decided to make it into yard art, you know? The area that I live in, it's zoned for agriculture. So I can do this and not have any problems with like an HOA or anything like that. That's kind of why I live where I live. And plus I got the trees that are covering it from the road. And when that tree fills out, you can't even see, you wouldn't even be able to see it from the road. Right? And then over in that area, over there, so you can see the 2 vehicles. Well, right there, you've probably seen it in pictures. That's where our schoolie was, our big bus. Well, now is right there. So I put the garage in. We moved here a year later. I had the garage built, and I made it 12 feet because I knew I was going to put the bus there. Originally, we were going to kind of keep the bus inside the garage for a little while, and that's what we did. But my wife was like, "Oh, you need more room. Pull the bus out." So we put it over there, and now we got it over there. I also, since I put the structure up, I wanted to see if I could swing a car in here without having to move my big orange, or without really having to do much of anything.
Show, always and forever. Your special videographer is here. Look at that. Yeah?
I need to bring it this way. This is where I employ the boys' help. Because pushing it in a straight line is a lot harder, honestly, than it is to move it around in circles.
Okay. Were you gonna go get them? Or you want me to help you?
If you want to help me, you can.
Okay.
You feel like you got the cojones.
Yeah, I got the cojones. I married you.
Okay.
That was a demonstration of big cojones. I love you.
And no problem. It swung right around with everything intact. So I have it swapped around because when I prime this, I want to be back. So instead of how I had it, if I primed it, it would, you know, overspray, whatever, dirt could blow up from here as I'm priming the cowl and then potentially land in all my stuff. So right now, when I prime this, it'll be all poked out the back. As you can see, I am probably covering 4 feet of my entryway from the back with the bus, but that's fine. Because this bus being in this position serves a higher purpose for our overall vision of what we got going on in the back and my wife's business and what she does. Which once we get in, I will be doing the bus, like building the bus on the inside. Once we get to that point, then you'll get a better idea of everything that we have going on as far as our whole package deal that we want to do here. So to do all that, I had to take down some fences, pull out some 4x4 posts that were cemented in. Tractor made really easy work of it, but that was pretty much all yesterday afternoon. From 11 to about 6, we were moving everything around. The rear brakes were locked up on that chassis frame over there, so it was a little bit of a bear to get it over here. He did bring me over an engine right there. That's a 283. Hold on, he's got it marked. So this is a running 283 out of a 1965 Chevelle. It was a motor that he had, and it's a known good motor. He's had it run, so it's part of our bartering system that we got going on. So yeah, so we dropped it right there. I still got to find a home for that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get back on the core support. I'm going to show you the way I use, since it's a big piece, I can totally show you how to do this. With the smaller areas of doing the rust repair, it's kind of like, I'll be honest, it's kind of quicker for me just to do it real quick than stop, record it, you know, explain, you know, with the confines of the space. So let me grab something real quick and I'll show you. I'm going to show you how I use the Pour 15 metal prep. So I'm not a big etch primer kind of guy. I can't stand the stuff. I've seen too many issues with it lifting and what have you. I'm a big epoxy primer guy. So a lot of people can go on the fence with this. Some people love etch primer first and then epoxy primer. Then, you know, no body work over bare metal. You need to epoxy prime everything. Da, 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 da. It's not how I do it, right? I'm not saying I'm doing it the correct way. I'm just saying that this is the way that I do it and I don't have issues. And you know, most of us painter body guys, when we find something that works, we're kind of stuck onto it, unfortunately. I mean, I have ventured and done other things with products, and some work, some don't. But, you know, the time and the money you invest on doing these projects, and I'm not saying this is a restoration by no means, I'm just saying that what we're doing with this, this is the way that I do it because it works. You know, you noticed I didn't epoxy prime this first. Lots of bare metal. I did my fiberall stuff down, my Bondo work, well, filler work. Bondo sounds so negative. So all my filler work with it. And then what I do is I'll put on my coat of epoxy primer. I kind of explained this before, but now I'm really getting into this. I put down my epoxy primer. You know, I do 2 coats with kind of heavy-handed with it, and then I give it an hour. And then I go right over it with my high build 2K primer, right? This is a process that they call wet on wet priming. So you're not actually putting primer, your filler primer on top of wet epoxy primer. You have a certain window of time. And for the primer, the epoxy primer I use, it says an hour to 4 hours. So in between there, you can apply a top coat onto it and it still has a chemical adhesion versus a mechanical bond, right? So when you sand something with whatever grit you're sanding it with, you're making a mechanical bond. With wet on wet primer, you're giving it that window to dry up, basically skim coat it, but it still has a chemical adhesion property where you can put primer, filler primer right over that. I hope that makes sense. So that's how that works, right? So anyway, so for me, what I'm gonna do with this core support is, it's kind of rusted up pretty good. Let me move you in here. Kind of hard to see. So this whole bottom section right here, it's got surface rust. It's not like pitted or anything like that, but it's got surface rust. So I could knock that down with a wire wheel, and probably, I don't like Pour 15. I don't like it, not at all. But I do love Sem's Stop Rust, which you have seen me use. But It goes on very well. You can spray it, as you saw. But I picked up a couple, when you use chip brushes, you know, those cheap chip brushes, the hairs fall off, right? The bristles come out, and sometimes will stick to the piece, right? This piece, you know, inside parts where you're never gonna see, it's not a big problem, right? Okay, it's got a paint chip hair stuck in it, who cares, right? Like the whole trunk area, I'm stop rusting that with the Kustomz, and then he wants to do like the Kustomz Rocket, which is a bed liner coating, a thick urethane bed liner coating. He wants to do the inside with that. We were tossed up with doing the Zolo, which is that OEM factory trunk finish look, but the cost of that is like astronomical, and this isn't that type of restoration, right? So we're just gonna do the whole Kustomz. It's called Rocket. The sheen is beautiful. I love it over the Raptor. I've used Raptor for years, and then when this stuff came on the market, I was like, really? This is awesome. And you can pick it up off Amazon, and it comes with a new Schiltze gun every time the gun spray it through. So it's like, why not? But getting back to this, I'm going to metal prep it with this. So this, and it goes back to talking about the whole etch primer thing. Because this does a metal etching and a rust neutralizer. And you don't have to scrub it, you don't have to do anything like that, but you do have to make sure it stays wet. You can't let it dry up. So, and you got to do it for about 10-15 minutes for it to neutralize the rust, but it also etches the primer, and it says, I'm no chemist, it says that it does like a thin layer of zinc coating. So if you were to use Pore 15, the etching and the zinc coating gives something for the Pore 15 to bite into, and Bob's your uncle, it's supposedly protected from rust forever because, you know, Pore 15 dries using a moisture drying technology. So the more moisture in the air, the stronger it gets, right? That's why they say it's good for rust, because it encapsulates the rust. And if any moisture tries to get into there, it just makes the product even stronger. That's their claim. The Kustomz, I keep referring because the Kustomz are stop rusted over there. So the Kustomz stop rust is the same technology. It's the moisture curing type technology. And here in Florida, oh, we're full of moisture. I mean, you know, the humidity in the air is unbelievable. Today, not so much because it is like 50, a little bit over 50 degrees, and maybe 60 right now. But in general, Florida has a high humidity, and these type of products work and dry well here. You're still supposed to let them sit overnight for 24 hours or whatever to cure, because that's how it works. In a nutshell, so a little more in-depth on products and how they use it and how I use it. So this is water-based. Supposedly, if you have a vat, you could pour this all in the vat, set your part inside that vat, let it sit for 15-20 minutes, pull it out, rinse off the part, and then keep what's in the vat, right? So you can pour it back in here, you can reuse it over and over, I guess. That's another claim that they give you. I don't know, I spray it, it drips, I pressure wash it off, and that's what I do. So after I do that, I've got to strip the whole top of it that's seen visually. You know, you're not going to see any of this stuff, right? Because this is all up on, it's underneath. But I want it to be smooth, because he wants to do a hot rod black. So basically a flat or a satin black. He wants the cowl done that way, the top of the dash satin black, and then parts of the fender will be satin black, kind of like original. So if you do a Google search for Oldsmobile 442 in 1968 and you see the engine bay, everything that's flat black or satin black, that's what this is going to be. But up there it's kind of chunky. You know, it's got a lot of scratches and stuff like that. So I'm going to do all this to prep the metal. Then I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to strip the top, right? And then I'm going to use my Kustomz rust stop, coat the whole thing, and this time I'm going to use one of those sponge brushes. They were on sale, so I was like, all right, let me try this. It'll give me a smoother surface. So I'm going to do all that, and then Then once that's all cured, I'm gonna scuff it all up and top coat it with the Hot Rod Black, which is a 2K urethane. So it's got hardener in it, right? So you mix it up and you spray it. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do here. So I went down and I got another spray bottle because mine, this stuff eats the seals. Even though it's water-based, I still think it has some sort of something that's not good for you, right? So I'm gonna spray this down, and then I'm gonna continuously spray it down for 10-15 minutes, and then so it stays wet, and then once it's neutralized, we'll bring you back, and then I'm gonna let it set out in the sun and just dry. Just dry. And while I'm in the middle of doing that stuff, I'll probably be bebopping around doing other stuff here, because I still have to finalize a few other things. So I'll bring you in a close-up, show you what we got before, and then I'll show you what it'll look like after it's all dry. All this rusty stuff should turn black. Okay, so everywhere where the radiator sat, it's definitely leaked at some point in its life, right? We saw that he's replacing the radiator because it doesn't have a leak. It's hard to show you the inside because of the shadowing of the sun, but you kind of get the idea there. I mean, I can go like that and go, oh, look, there you go. So the whole bottom half is the same way, right? And then there's some stuff over here going on there, and then down below, you can see all that. And then this is what I'm talking about where it's rough, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start spray. So that's the before, and then we'll come back and then I'll show you what it looks like after. Also, I have it on the inside of the garage so the sun isn't baking it while I spray it down. But I'm gonna pressure wash the whole floor where it's at, so the only thing this will do is probably just clean my concrete up front. So there it is. So I just got to keep this wet, and then when we get back, we will rinse it off and then throw it out there in the sun to dry quickly. Because, you know, you still have that whole flash rust thing, I guess, whatever. But yeah, so we'll just be back. Alright guys, so I had to reapply about 3 times on that. I took the door sills out of this. I moved the car forward, so now I'm going to pressure wash all the door jambs. I don't really like to pressure wash because I just don't really like it. Yeah, so might as well, since I had the pressure washer out, I'm going to be doing all that. So I'm going to pressure wash all the door jambs on both sides, the cowl panel right here on the outside, right there, right here, and then I'm gonna finish, and then I'm gonna pressure wash this all off, and then I'm gonna get after it. So we have all new seals, new weather stripping, all that stuff. But I'm saving all the old pieces just in case I need the clips, you know? So just letting you know here what I'm doing. Everyone's probably thinking, shouldn't he have done that first? Isn't all the metal gonna get all rusted up? I probably should have, but I'm doing it now. It's all good. door jambs are all cleaned up. All the old crusty weather stripping is all off the doors, and I took it off up above as well. So that's that pile of junk. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the car back, pressure wash all the crap off that came off, especially on the front of that motor, because I wanted to clean up all the grease and stuff. I don't want more grease in areas that I'm going to be painting. So, and yes, I probably should have done all that first, but I didn't. I did it now. So the little bit of water that's up on the cowl, I'm not too worried about it. I still have to vacuum out the doors, because inside the doors there's a bunch of leaves and stuff like that. So I didn't want to pressure wash that because that would go all over the place. And so I'm just going to vacuum all that out after I get it pushed back. So let me get it pushed back, and hopefully I can do it myself without getting my boys out here. So we got the piece inside. It looks like someone kind of went after it with something, probably a spray can or something like that. But as you can see, the rust, it's got this coating stuff on it now. It still looks rusty, but this is the process of how it's supposed to be done, and I've always had good luck with it. But down in there, I do believe that white is that zinc coating that's put on it, right? That sticks to it. But this whole front here, like I said, I'm gonna strip this down anyway. So and do the, take this off, do all this stuff with hot rod flat black. But for now, I'm gonna coat the whole back side of this, and then maybe flip it over, and then coat the other, because it's got to sit overnight. But at least it's one more thing left, or off the list of the puzzle, right? So so now all the jams are clean. This is all clean because this is going flat black too. Here, in here is going to be color coded, or yeah, color coded, color of the car. But I think how we're going to do this. This is green, so this used to be the original color. This green color. So it's going to be probably maybe like that. Yeah. So I'll just cut this off just like that from here. This will be all body color, and then this will be all flat black or satin black. And I just decided to pressure wash the A-arms frames up in front. Cleaned off the front of his motor a little bit. There it all is. So let me break out my rust stop stuff, and then get going with this. Wear gloves, obviously, like I had said before. I am going to put something down, because if it drips on my floor, it's kind of a pain to get off the floor. But yeah, so let me set you up. There we go. All right. So we got it all coated with the rust stop stuff. So rust stop is just like Pour 15 as far as it's not UV stable. So you have to top coat it if it's going to be getting sunlight. Okay, so my front bumper on the truck, I still have to do body work on it, smooth it all out. But it's one of the things I still have to do. But if you look at it, this is done with the rust stop. So you can see it's got a kind of a blue rainbowy color. It's kind of neat, but it's not black like it used to be. So it got this way when it was sitting in the front of the garage and the sunlight was hitting it. So just to give you an idea, I mean, it's a cool effect, but it breaks down after time because it's not UV stable. So that's going to be it for today, and then we will hit it in the morning. I'll get back with you. See you tomorrow. It's the next morning. It is a nice 50-some degrees here, but she's all coated up like brand new. So yeah, I like that. So as I'm over here, I was looking at pulling off the doors. The hinge pins, the correct way to take off a door is to pop out the hinge pin and then take the door off. That way you're not messing with any of the adjustments this way or this way, because the doors shut and are perfect right now. But the hinge pin, I don't want to say it's upside down, but this upper one, the way it's put in, if you try to drive it up and out, it actually hits the top of the door. So this pin cannot be taken out without taking the hinge off the body and the door. So yeah, yep. So that's gonna, I got to think about that one for a little bit. I mean, I can paint it with the doors on, you know, jam it all first, let that setup dry, shut the doors, then back tape it off. You know, it's basically about trying to find cutoff points at that point, right? I know I'm going to be painting from here down, like we had talked about. So it's like, I can, yeah, because you still have to go down up underneath here. So anyway, so I'm going to think about that, or marinate on that situation here real quick. Yep, because the lower hinge, the spring is kind of caught in there where the pin would come up and out. Same thing with the, if you look on my channel, I have the Camaro, or the Firebird. It was the same thing. But when I put the hinges back on, I put the pin up so I could get the door on and off after I got it off. I don't know. So we're going to think about that for a little bit. But either way, if I have to do it with the doors on the car, then I have to get this ready to epoxy prime as well as everything else. So yeah, so I'm probably going to try to pull out these vent windows here, get these out, try to finish dropping these down so I can get this inner piece off, because you can only get that off because there's like some screws in here, and this has to get dropped down, and then there's an adjustment bolt on the bottom that stops it from basically falling all the way down when you roll it down. You have to loosen that up so this can go all the way down like another 1.5 inches, so you can get these little, there's like little Phillips screws. Basically it's kind of like this one. This one, there's a little screw right there. So let me get after that a little bit while I'm thinking about these doors. I still have to fix this stuff. So looks like I'll be doing a little bit more body work, taking out the door handles, just in case I have to do this all here, because ultimately I can't paint it with the doors open. I mean, I've done it before. It's just, it'd be really nice if it wasn't. Just saying. Okay. Alrighty guys, so I'm going to work on this other fender. What we have going on is we have a little bit of bubbling there. Here, you can see all the sand scratches in it. And then there was some, like right in, there it is, right there. So let me start getting this sanded down, fix these areas, and then we'll put this on the side for priming. So let me set you up and we'll start working at it. Alright guys, so I sanded the tops of the doors where it was bubbling, and what I found was that there was like thin layer of Bondo, some nitro stain, basically like a glazing putty that never dries. It's a lacquer based product from back in the day. A lot of people used to use that to fill in sand scratches and stuff back in the, but it never actually like cures up or hardens, so it's always soft, and it's a lacquer based product. So it's really not the best. So if anyone sees any of that red nitro stain out there on the shelves, don't pick it up, don't buy it. It's that and that Kustomz stuff, that you know, spot putty, whatever, it never dries. Just take up a little bit of glaze or something and just mix it like you do filler. Just put it in your pinholes. Bob's your uncle, done. So all that was on top of some unsanded paint. That's why it was bubbling off, right? So I got that all smoothed out. So now I'm just fixing all there's a spot here and then the spot back there where it had that chrome trim. So I'm just sanding that up, fixing that, and I'm gonna do the same on the other side of the door. So I'm just kind of catching you up to speed of what I'm doing. The fender, I got those, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spots on the fender that I had to start filling up with some fiberall. Same deal with the other fenders that had fiberglass cloth, and it just kind of soaked up the water from the back side. So we're sealing them all up, and we're taking care of that. So let me get back to sanding on this door here and then back there, and then we'll probably put a little bit of filler over these after we get that all straightened out. So let me sand these down. Okay guys, so what I'm finding out on this door, he got a new mirror. It's like an aftermarket mirror, so I got to kind of fill in these holes anyway. So I decided to strip this down to bare metal so I can weld in a plate right here. But so this side was really bad with bubbling. So as I'm sanding it down, I'm kind of thinking, this is what I'm thinking, is that the original paint was underneath there, and it's lacquer based, right? So back in the day, they didn't have a base coat, clear coat. So now this is just my hypothesis, is that the lacquer based paint, lacquer based never really dries. Anything lacquer based generally doesn't dry, like dry. I don't care what anyone says about like lacquer primer. That's why you can always leave it in a gun hanging up on the wall and use it whenever. It starts to get a little coagulated. Just throw a little bit more thinner in there and go away, you know. And you know, there's people out there that says, oh well, you just don't know how to shoot lacquer primer. No, it's just an inferior product and it's horrible and it never dries. Anyway, that's my rant on lacquer primer. So as I'm cleaning this off, as you see over here, I got this all back to nice. There was a little bit of rust right here. You can still see it right there a little bit. There's a little bit of pitting right there, but I think that's just from the water getting in there. But Bondo or filler is naturally absorbent. So let's say there was a little break in the clear somewhere down the road, plus you have a lacquer based base paint on it that's never dry. So it may feel dry or whatever, but chemically speaking, it's not dry. So you get a little bit of water between here, and it just kind of sits underneath there, and it kind of just gums up that lacquer base, because everywhere where there was peeling, it was a little bit of rust underneath there, and all the lacquer base was just like, it's sticky. So that's why here it's bubbling out, here, right here is bubbling out. This was where there was a hole for for that chrome trim that was right along here. So this one at least was welded, right? That's pretty good. But I have to take all this down to the bare metal to see what's going on. This has actually got a little bit of cloth behind there. It got wet. So honestly, that's gonna wrap it up for today, because there's a lot of sanding that has to happen on this, just to find out what's going on. Hopefully there's no more spots that are like that. But yeah, so we'll just get back on this in the morning. Good morning, guys. Okay, so what I have a tendency of doing is bouncing around, right? So I do a little bit on this, and then I go over there and I do a little bit on this, and then I go over there and do a little bit on this. But today, I'm just gonna focus on the fenders. So I gotta finish fixing all those little spots, and then maybe we'll get them in primer today. Maybe I'll just get the fenders in primer, and that way it's one less thing I have to bounce around on. Because unfortunately, I'm kind of like that. I don't want to say I got ADHD, but it's like, I'll sand this and I'll be like, oh, let me go do this. Oh, let me go do that. So I'm just gonna focus fenders. So let's get these done. This particular fender, which is the passenger side, is that not a lot of it. I think this thing's been painted a couple times, not just 20 some years ago, but I think it was before, because you can see the layers, like 3 layers, which would mean that it would original paint, painted, now me. This would have really been a good candidate to like strip it down to metal, is basically what I'm saying. Because a lot of the, I think I got it right. I go and blow it off, and then just like a little chunk just blows off. So, so now I got to go back. I got to feather all that out, and then that feathering keeps walking back until it actually does feather, and then it's like, okay, then I'll do that. I'll blow it off. Then another piece blows off. So then I go back again with my 80 grit, feather, then come back with 180, feather, and then that's done. Now I blew it off, and nothing has fallen off. So I think we're good for priming on this one. This fender over here didn't do that anywhere. Just these parts right here were bubbling up, but that's because of that chrome piece. But anyway. So let me move some things around, sweep up the floor a little bit, get that going on, and then maybe we can get these in primer today. This is the other thing that you got to make sure you do, or else it'll start peeling. You got to get all that stuff all sanded and all cleaned up. So in these little areas, I use a red Scotch-Brite, and I just get after it. So yeah. Alright guys, so let me show you this, because I have to do this before I do anything over here. So this is the mirror that he got, and it just mounts with this little bracket guy. So what we have to do is we have to mount it. I'm glad I didn't take this out yet, because you have to mount this so this opens up without hitting the mirror. So this right here, I have it right here. Hold on. So this right here is perfect placement. So when the vent window opens, it'll still open with the mirror mounted, right? So overall, the mirror will mount like that. Will mount like that. So it clears the window, it clears the vent window. So I'm just pre-marking them. I'm going to put it on, roll up the window, make sure that everything still works and opens and closes before I start tackling up these holes. So let me set you up here and we'll do that. Drop the bolt. So I don't drop it down through. So it mounts just like that. I think that'll work out good. So I know it works with the window rolled up. So let's open it up and see if it works with the wing window, and it should. Yep, there it is. Alright guys, so what we're going to do here is we're going to pull the glass out of the door. In order to get that vent window out, you have to pull the glass out of the door. Yeah, so I'll kind of zoom you in here as much as I can to show you how to do this. It's not that it's tricky, it's just that it's glass, right? And everyone always worries about breaking glass. So let me show you what we got going on. So with the door glass, there is there's a stopper right there, so it stops the glass from going all the way up. There's a screw right there that holds the glass in the scissor track. There's another one, oops, back there. That's kind of hard to see how I got it right now. There's these two bolts up there. Those hold the track. It holds the track of the glass without getting into real technical here. But basically what I'm going to do is, oh, and there's another one, where is it? Right here. That's another stop. I think that's another stop. Either way, we got to take those two bolts out, or two screws out, Phillips head. We got to take this bolt off and loosen up these two in order to get this glass out. So there should have been one more stop, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've taken these old doors apart, the glass and stuff like that. So let's set you back up and then we'll start taking it all apart. And these are all 7/16. So let's do this. there's that. You try to leave them in the right areas, right? I gotta raise this up a little bit to get. Oof. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. Those are going to be a little bit. Let me spray a little something on those just to kind of loosen them up a little bit, because I do not want those to break and I do not want to strip out those heads. So I put a little bit of PB Blaster on that and on that one. So let's see how we do. You do not want to break or strip these. That would be very, very bad. Oh yeah, sweet. Yep. And that is it. So now the glass is free from the track, all right? So it can actually be, yeah, lifted up. Okay, I see it. Okay, it's right there. So there was another one. Put this in a safe space. All right, guys, now that the glass is out, I'm going to put the track back in. It has witness marks where it goes, where it was set up previously. So since I'm going to paint the door, I'm going to put all that back. So after it's painted, it'll have the witness marks of putting it back together, right? So it makes sense. The bump stop for the height, and then the 2 screws for the track. I'm going to go put those back into the glass so they don't get lost. Even though I put them in bags, at least I know exactly where they go, and that's the glass I'm not going to be touching until it goes back in. Well, clean it up, but until it goes back in. So let me go put those all together and then we'll start getting the vent window off. So on the back side, where this was holding it right here, so this screw, I'm like, oh, where does this go? I know there's supposed to be another little, like a catch. I found it. So it's like a little bow tie, right? Bow tie for a bow tie. Anyway, so it actually goes inside the track. It slides inside the track, and then you put the bolt in there, and then that holds it. It does something. I forget what it does, but what we'll do is we'll just put it in there for now. We'll put it back in the spot that it belongs. There is a witness mark right there, so let me swap it around. Hold on. So right there is where it goes. So you can see that it has the witness mark from where the bolt was before. Let me bring it in here. There we go. So I'm just going to reattach it. I'm just going to reattach it back into the same spot. Okay? And that's where it goes. So there's a screw right there. That seems to hold the crank mechanism to open it up. There's a screw here, or a bolt there. There's a bolt on the other side. this sheet metal screw, which isn't the right one, but it's there. This one right here holds the front track, or not a track, but the front of the whole frame. And then this one right here, that one seems to hold the back part. So we have all new seals, so either way the window's got to come out so we can replace all that. So that should be it. Those two, that one there, this one, and that one. And it should just slide right out. All right, let's give it a whirl. Okay. Once I get this out, I'll show you. Okay, so here's the bolt, but you see that little flathead? Yep, so you have to undo it from the actual vent window. Alright guys, so I've got the vent window out, the regular window out, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these doors off. So what I did was, I did drill my 1/8 inch holes, 2 up here, 2 down here, to be able to set the door back on with the hinges, and hopefully it'll get me close for the adjustment. I'm not new to adjusting a door like this, but it would really have been nice if I could have just popped the pins out. So I got my holes drilled. My holes drilled for my indexing. So let's get this door off. Glad we pulled the door off. So I'm going to do that whole process over on the driver's side door. I'm not going to record it. I'll just let me pull this door off. We'll get back. All right, got the driver's side door off. I have to run and grab a couple more stands tomorrow anyway. But there she be. I'll tell you, these doors haven't been off since they were first put on. But now that the doors are off, I like that a lot better for setting that up. Sometimes you just got to do it, and that's what I did. I just took them right off. Alright guys, so we're at the end of the day. I was going to, like I started off this morning, I was just going to get those fenders in primer. But they're ready for primer. But the paint gun that I brought home from work, it's a 1.3 tip, Misada. And I should really use like a 1.7, possibly a 2.0 for the epoxy primer, and then the high build primer on those fenders. So I am going to run and borrow, buy, get, figure it out so I can have the gun here tomorrow. And then I want a bigger tip gun anyway, not just for here but also at work, because I do use my Misada for priming, and it really tears up the gun. I actually have two sets of fluid head needles for it. And one is I use strictly for primer, so I clean it up, and then whenever I'm painting at work, I'll actually swap out the whole needle head assembly, fluid tip assembly, and then I'll soak the old primer ones, clean those all up, use my good set for painting. But I want something a little bit more, probably like a 1.7 minimum. So like I said, I'll get that, but they're ready. They're ready. Everything is ready to be primed. Not everything, but at least the fenders. So I did it again. I bounced around and go, well, you know what? Let me remove all this door stuff and get that off, because I just finally came to a point and said, you know what? I got to have the doors off. So, okay, I got to adjust them. That's fine. But the doors have to come off in order to do what I want to do with the car. So that's what we did. So I will wrap this up for today. And then tomorrow, hopefully first thing-ish, I'll get my paint shaker set up to shake some primer up, and then we'll get these in primer. So we'll catch you in the morning. Good morning, guys. So I think today is the day we're going to prime the fenders. So let me show you the little setup here I got, and then we'll go from there. So what I ended up doing was I just jumped on Amazon last night and I ordered $35. Basically, I don't know if it's an upgrade from Harbor Freight, but it'll be fine for what I want. It comes with a 1.7. I already separated out the fluid heads, 2.5 and a 1.4. The cup that it comes with is pretty crappy. It just kind of falls off. See? So I had to go down and grab a couple more horses so I could put the doors up, both of those. So I grabbed a couple horses, and while I was there, I got their Spectrum Universal Paint System 20-ounce starter kit. So that'll go onto there. I think I'm gonna have to pull out that little washer thing and put on here maybe, but either way. So that's that. I set up my paint shaker. So at work, every couple years we get a new stand and a new paint shaker from our rep, and the rep's always like, well, I asked him, I said, hey, what are you gonna do with the paint shaker? And he's like, oh, we just kind of like throw them in the warehouse. So I asked him for this one. So I have this one. I have another one as well, but I welded it, severe welding to the rim. So it gets loud when it shakes, so I'm not going to flop it on, but I'm going to let that shake up, and that is the LP20 epoxy primer. I'm going to set this all up, get the settings dialed in, and then we'll be back. I'm going to have to definitely attach that to the floor. It goes all over the place. Alright guys, so I'm going to switch it up on these fenders. There's not a lot of bare metal. Actually, there's maybe two little spots that actually has bare metal showing through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put on the RMP26, which is a R&M's. It's an amazing product. It's a high build 2K primer, and then the hardener, and then UR60 for reducer. So this right here is a 3 to 1 to 1. Let me move that over. So 3 parts to 1 part to 1 part. I'm thinking I'm going to save the epoxy primer for all the bare metal that's on the actual body and the doors, because I have a lot of bare metal on the body and the doors. Yes. So I just got this off the paint shaker. I will have to attach that because it just rides all over the place. But anyway, so let me mix this up real quick. 3 to 1 to 1, and then I'll put the camera kind of off to the side so you can see the application of it. I'll probably put 3 coats down, and I'm still going to use the 1.7 tip that I have on that. 3 nice coats on there because I'm going to be blocking it anyway, and then I'll probably have to prime it again. I have a feeling, just because of the nature of what this car is. So let me mix this up, and then we'll go from there. Make sure you wear gloves. Out. So these cups have strainers in them. It's primer. I'm not going to strain this. So, yeah. There it is. Here we go. I'm going to tack it off. So we start priming. I usually give it about, I don't know, 5 minutes in between. So we'll be back. Coat 2. All right, so that's gonna do it for that. I'm gonna let that knot be shiny, excuse me, and then I'm just gonna guide coat it, push those off to the side. So I decided to have taped off the windshield or the window opening in the front. I had some primer left over, so I taped that up real quick, and then I'm just shooting primer around the window area and then the whole cowl so I can get it all in one color, and then see how it looks with all the welding. So that's coat 1. This is coat 2. And this fan system that I got is still blowing it out the back, so there's no overspray getting on my trucks or anything like that. I mean, this cowl piece right here is right there, and there's 0 overspray on it. So I think I have enough primer to do maybe one more coat. But yeah, so that way it seals that all up. I know I'll still have to sand it or whatever to go into the rest of it, but at least right now I get that all one color and prime. So I can, if there's any kind of pinholes or anything like that, I'll see them all. So yeah, so hold out for one more coat, and then we'll start cleaning things up. All right, guys, so I had enough in here to do 3 coats. So there's 3 coats on the cowl, 2 coats up around the windshield area. So let me clean out the gun, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, guys. So I will say for 35 bucks, and it was shipped, I ordered it last night probably around 6:30 p.m. It was at my door when I got up this morning at 7. So would I paint a car with this? Probably not. You can't really control the fan. The fan that I had on here, that's as small as it could go. For this kind of primer, I'd like it a little bit tighter, but that's okay. But yeah, amazing. And at Harbor Freight, when you get the adapter for these Spectrum cups, we use something similar to this at work. It's well worth. This was 14 bucks. You know, you get 5 cups and everything like that. I did have to buy the adapter for it. This adapter for this is basically a Harbor Freight gun, but it's got the tips. Harbor Freight ones didn't have the tips. That's why I bought it. But it fits right on there. This was like 5 bucks. This was 14. For home use, beautiful. You don't have to mix out the cups. Plus the cup looked like it was falling apart. So definitely that's the way to go for this kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, and for those that may be worried about, oh, what are you doing with your thinner, waste thinner? I do have a waste thing, and then I take this into work and I dump it in our big 55-gallon drum of waste. Safety Clean comes and picks it up, so that's how we do it. cowl is all primed up. I guide coated it. Like I said, from here over will be flat black, including the dash. So from here down will be painted. That's why I cut it off right at the seam. And then, yeah, I don't know, just thought I'd put a little bit of primer up there. But I wanted to see how the windshield channel was going to be with it all smoothed out. Perfect. It's a lot better to see when it's all one color, right? Yeah, and then we got the rest. We got it primed. And then these are all set, ready to block out. I mean, honestly, with this primer is amazing. If I give it about 4 hours, I could actually come back and block these out. But I'm not going to. I'm going to give it probably a couple days. Anyway, so let me put you up on the tripod and we'll talk about it. Alright guys, so this is going to wrap this video up because I know it's uber long. My wife's like, oh, why don't you cut it up into two different videos, you know, part 1, part 2. I was off all week. A couple days I lost. One was we were moving stuff around in the yard. And then on Friday, my job decided to call me in. The other painter got sick, so they wanted me to come in and paint, so I said sure. So I went in on Friday and painted. So this is everything that we got going on, or what we got done this week. I'm not mad about any of it. We got doors off, windows all separated out, fenders and primer all straightened out. And when I primed them, they looked really good. Like, you can tell when you prime something, it's wet, and you look at it and go, all right, that's gonna look pretty good once it's all blocked out. And then the cowl was just a freebie because I had primer left over, and I hate the product to go to waste, especially how expensive it is. So I took 10 minutes just to tape that up and sprayed that. Looks great. So I'm gonna clean up a little bit in the shop here. I know it's been looking pretty clean, but it's not. I want to move some parts over here, get them all set up for either during the week after work, when I come home and piddle around, or next weekend. So thanks again for sticking it out, watching the whole video, or even skipping through it or whatever. It doesn't matter, as long as you get what you need out of the video, right? I appreciate everyone coming back and keep watching it. Even my shop updates and garage updates went very well. And it's funny, I told my wife, I was like, man, that's probably the lamest, most boringest video I've ever done. And she's like, hey, you never know, you know, people might need to see that stuff, so you should put it all out there. And it did incredibly well. Like, thank you so much. Hit like, share, subscribe, all that other fun stuff they tell you to do at the end of videos. And hey, go out and build something cool. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.